everything personal development, coaching, health, and the law. I'm your host, Jay, here with co-host Janine.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Please join us on Facebook, where we can be found at the Momentum Mindset Show. And if you want to call in and be part of the show, we would love to hear from you. It's 888-565-1470. And if being on live radio is not your thing, no problem. Send us your comments and
we'll can I keep this for 45 minutes?
Let's create some momentum.
Go.
Okay, and welcome everybody. We are live in a very makeshift way with you here on the Momentum Mindset Show. As you can see, I am alone on the video for now, but that does not mean that Jay is far away. He's actually joining us via telephone. We are being creative. Life in the time of COVID-19 does not always lend itself to ease of use of technology. We kind of sort of took for granted that we could get ourselves on a Zoom call together and or figure something out and be live with you right now together. But this is the best way that we've managed to do it, so please bear with us. And Jay, tell us how you're doing.
Well, certainly unprecedented times. And on the one hand, I would say that I had the most productive week that I've had in a very long time, and that it's also very lonely. As you know, my fiance is a physician at Jackson Memorial Hospital, so she's supporting the efforts to minimize the effect that this virus has on the community. And I've just been working from home, and it's amazing what we all take for granted.
Yeah.
What I took for granted, as far as daily life is concerned. And I'll share this, though. I mean, it's an opportunity of reflection. It's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to do things that I just have not gotten around to. And that's like for this weekend, it's to really get clear of my vision for myself, the world as I see it, and to go after my life in a more intentional way. I would
right. So say more about that, because I think, certainly I've been in that same space. I can really relate, and I think that a lot of people are being called to go inward and have that moment of reflection. But I think it comes easier to some of us than it does to other people. It's not such a natural place to go, and it's not necessarily comfortable when you do go inward. So when you're talking about getting clarity for yourself, what does that look like for you?
Well, what's coming up for me more than anything else is, how do I play life? And what comes up to me with the answer to that question is, I play life about 98%, maybe less than that, and I am holding back.
Again?
I said I'm holding back. That's what's coming up for me. I'm saying, as far as what I want to do and how I want to do it and how on fire I want to be about my life, I take a lot of stuff granted. Like, there's going to be a tomorrow that looked like yesterday. Where I could get in my car and go to my job and do the things that I was going to do. There's a limited time on this planet to be up to the things that you want to accomplish. And all I have is the experience of the here and now, and what do I get to create. And that's what's been come up for me, is like, how small have I been playing life? Right. Not from a perspective of I'm upset or pissed about how I'm playing life. I think I'm doing pretty good. But there's pretty good and there's exceptional. And this is giving me the time to take a look. What does exceptional look like to me? And am I ready to do the things that exceptional looks like? So here's what I've discovered, though. There's a lot of time in my days that are wasted doing bullshit. It's the stuff from, spending time in traffic, spending time doing all kinds of things, running different errands that I don't need to do. When it comes down to it, there's a lot that I can accomplish in one day if I were to streamline the things that I have going on.
Yeah. And so when you say something like that, the idea of streamlining the things that you have going on are because you have other things in mind. In other words, like a better or different use of your time. So I think that that's really where the meat and potatoes about all of this is coming from, because we can all have different conversations. Like I was even thinking, wow, people are working from home. What does this say about our communal workspaces? How necessary. I've been thinking about so many other things. I'm a person who is enjoying being in the office all by myself, but I know that it will eventually not be this way, and I'm looking forward to when it's not that way, because I enjoy the interaction of my colleagues. I enjoy the communal creation, the ease of conversations, different things like that. And I see so many gifts in this solitude. I think everybody...
Well, the gifts, you're talking about gifts is the opportunity for self-reflection gift. It's the opportunity to maybe choose how you're going to live your life from here on out is a gift. But here's what I think that what we're doing right now, and why it was important for us to have this show right now, even though it's all makeshift and we're doing it how we're doing it, is I am purposely keeping my mind in motion. And I have been in circumstances in my life where I've had a lot of time to sit and reflect and think sometimes. Mm-hmm. And there's a downward spiral that happens to me if I'm not up to things in my life. And what happens is when I got up and I went to work and I traveled, I'm with people, it's kind of easy to not go into those downward spirals of thinking and getting into depression and all kinds of stuckiness. Mm-hmm. But I'm thinking about the momentum mindset. I'm thinking about how do we keep our minds focused and sharp about the things that we want to be up to, because it's going to be very easy in the next couple of weeks for anybody to lose it, quote unquote. And this is why, I stepped right into the show talking about getting clear about my goals and my purpose, as opposed to, woe is the world. Oh my God, I heard about this closing and that closing and this closing. That stuff's going to happen. But how do we step into a space to keep our minds sharp and our minds healthy? Because most people haven't experienced 3 weeks at home with nothing going on, where their life is completely interrupted.
Right. I agree with that. And I think that it brings an enormous amount of opportunity to kind of look at what it is that we want, what has been going on, first of all, what we take for granted. The fact that we may be going into a forced quarantine, in other words, like lockdown or the government imposing certain hour, however it's going to look, I'm not sure. And all with the spirit of keeping the public at large safe, we get to look at the infringement on our personal freedom, right? And how it can serve us. And I think you're right. I think a lot of people are going to lose it or think...
Well, I mean, it's interesting how you put it like that, an infringement on our personal freedoms.
Well, no, but...
Are we personally...
Jay, I'm not done with my thought, so please, 1 second. So what I mean by that is we take it for granted that we can just come and go as we please. This, I said it's an infringement of our personal freedoms, but it's not really. It's really for public safety, right? So it's not like a prison, or it's not like anything like that, which is a real infringement on our public or on our freedom. But I mean, it changes our movement. I'm so sorry. Someone just came into our office, and I don't know who they are. I'm so sorry. Keep talking. Okay, that was very awkward. So that's kind of what I mean. Like, it changes the spectrum of, you guys, this is live. I'm so sorry. Anyway, it changes the way that we can do things. Things take for granted. I wanted to get my nails done. That's not a good idea right now. Okay, so I get to do something else. I get to, we get to think about other things. And I don't want to Pollyanna sugarcoat this, because I think you brought up something really important. What is it like for us to be quiet and to really be in a space where we're alone with our thoughts? We're alone with maybe things that we've been avoiding. And what does that mean? So, Jay?
Yeah, I'm just listening. I didn't know if you were finished or not.
I am now. Thank you. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's important that we all reflect on these things and we talk about them and that we create that space to talk about it.
You know, when I was thinking about taking away our personal freedoms, I mean, how free are we really in what we do? Like, I feel like I have to drive to work for FaceTime at work. I feel like there's certain things that I'm doing in my life that are required of me. When it comes down to brass tacks, that's not true. I'm handling all the stuff from home. I'm able to do all the things as if I could be anywhere on the planet. So it's like how I'm looking at this also as like, how does my life resemble a hospital bed that I used to be in? And how can I truly free myself from a mindset perspective of what's necessary and essential in my life? And again, keeping my mind busy from the time that I wake up to the time that I go to sleep is keeping me healthy. And that's what I really wanted to kind of get into about on the show is we know that this is a huge interruption. You know, what do people do with this excess time? You know, how does this affect a relationship? How does this affect how does this affect working out? How does this affect it? And the thing is that creating a schedule for yourself to create your new normal will provide the space to stay in that momentum mindset. And that, you know, like I said, we're only a week into this. Giving another 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I mean, a lot of people talk about cabin fever. You know, what are some of the things that you could do to avoid that?
Right. Well, you and I are, I think, in a position too where, and I don't see. I've heard a lot about people being cabin fevered already and already bored to tears and all kinds of things. Different people have different work environments and different things. I haven't stopped working. You haven't either. I don't think you've worked so much in your whole life as you have in this last week. It's been really intense. Lots and lots of work has been produced, and lots of really good work has been produced. I don't know. I have not yet experienced myself the downtime that other people have been talking about. And I think I look forward to that on some level. But I think it's always because we always think that something different than what we're experiencing may be better. I'm not sure really how that works. But do you have that experience?
But the experience of downtime? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
No.
Right.
No. I mean, if anything, this kind of put me into hyperdrive. It's like the first couple of days were like waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I sat down on my computer, and in one day, I got more work done than I did in 2 weeks, maybe before. You know.
Yeah.
But then it's like it starts at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then I roll through my day, and it's 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like, you know, it's like, where do you turn off? Because I'm hyper vigilant about keeping busy, knowing that the next things are coming up, because it's easy to slip into a 2 or 3 hour pattern. It's like you don't know what's next for you. And for most of us that go to work and we sit down at our desk and there's a plan for the day of going through their emails and going through speaking to people in live meetings and getting through their day. You know, when you don't have that interaction with people, how do you keep your mind
sharp,
busy, and allow yourself the time off? So what I've been doing is that every day I've been taking about a half an hour nap around 3 o'clock. I switch my workouts to the midday, and I go right to my computer. I work from 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning until about noon, and then I take 3 hours off. And then in that 3 hours, I'll eat lunch. I'll do my hour and a half workout, and I will take about a half an hour nap, and then get back to what I'm doing. And then there's a portion of the day I'll do the dishes, and it just becomes a new routine, a new normal And then definitely make time to go outside and go for a walk. I mean, it's so nice to see people just walking and enjoying the weather that we've had down here, because it's been pretty good.
Yeah, it's been absolutely gorgeous, and I hope other people have been noticing how beautiful the weather is, and I think stopping for a second, right? Stopping for a second and really noticing certain things. I'm pretty much in the same thing, start early in the morning and constantly thinking and creating and doing and making sure that certain things are getting done and things are getting paid, and ideas for generating and staying in touch and making sure that in this uncertainty there is the sharpening still and the commitment to the mindset.
The other thing is to make a commitment to make connections, even if they're virtual connections. I've been doing this with my parents. I've been speaking to them once a day, and now I've gotten this thing called a portal, a Facebook portal, and and a friend of mine got it for me, Mara, and it's wonderful because it allows me to walk around the house, and the camera follows me, and however it is, making time to make connections somehow, some way, and because we all need people, we need each other, and to reach out when you're not feeling well. Because listen, I have been in a pretty good space mentally, but I've had my moments in this, like, of fear, of uncertainty, of the financial piece of this, of what goes on. I mean, how do I think about generating, like you said, generating income as the entrepreneur, kicks in and says, okay, let me find the opportunity in all of this. There's a lot of people out there that have been sent home today.
Yeah.
And they don't know what it's going to look like, period.
Right.
Or if these stimulus checks are going to come in, or whatever is going on as far as what the government's promising. There's a huge amount of uncertainty out there. So really creating the space, and if you know someone's going through something. I mean, I had an exchange with someone today who's going through it, and saying, "Hey, I support you. How can I support you?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a song by Alicia Keys. We are here for everyone. We're here. We are here is, I think, the name of the song.
Yes.
And really, that's the message. We're here for everybody. And this is from where we're sitting here right now, our direct neighbors and our neighbors across the world, we're all going through the same anxieties, the same fears. I don't know if you've been out. I went out last week to a sporting goods store to buy a bench and some weights, and the interactions I had with people jumped when I got close to them, and vice versa.
Yeah. So you're speaking into a concern that we're all having, or that I've had. So for those of you that don't know, I'm very sensitive to energy. Like I'm very sensitive to a lot of different things. I can feel people. I really probably did. I did not know that this was coming, but I have felt uneasy for a really long time. But when I put my finger on why I was feeling so uneasy, part of it is because of what you just said, Jay. My concern for all of us is that we become afraid of each other, when in reality we need each other more than ever. And it's natural, though. So we get to work through that piece of it as well, and we get to acknowledge that, because I think that is a very natural part of our humanity, that we will become afraid of sneezing or coughing or whatever, because we don't know what it means. And ultimately, we do have, as sophisticated as we are in so many ways, and spiritual beings and evolved on so many levels, we're still primally programmed to maintain, to live. And we don't take kindly to that threat. So it's an interesting interplay too, though. But I have not gone out much. I've gone to and from the office, and here at the office, I'm completely isolated. No one comes in except for whoever it was just now. And I'm not if I do speak to somebody, we're literally 6 feet away from each other. But I've experienced a lot of kindness and a lot of connection, and how are you doing, and how can I support you? And by the way, our neighbor said, I have tons of toilet paper. Again, with the toilet paper, I don't know what's up. But so, yeah, it's been really interesting to see what's going on. So speak more into, like, your experience being out.
Well, just being out was one thing, but my experience has been, I want to focus this on this show, at least from my end, is that, coming up with a plan for yourself, books. I mean, Netflix. I mean, let me tell you something. We just got television back in our house today, and my concern is, no, there's something going on with the DirecTV, and I don't know. But now it's like we have this new thing that allows us to see every show and everything else. And frankly, I was kind of enjoying not having the television because I don't want to have just mindless episode after episode after episode. I mean, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to check in, to re-educate yourself, to come out of this stronger than ever on a person individual level. And if that happens, then everybody's going to come out stronger on a global level. It really is an opportunity. And I know, and I'm not discounting that people are sick and people are dying, and I get all of that, and certainly our prayers is to everybody who's gotten sick. But then for those who are healthy, it's the opportunity to keep your mind healthy and keep your mind in the game. Because it's going to be, once you hear all these new news reports and everything's getting worse and the numbers are going up, I mean, that becomes not only a distraction, but it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy for some people that, that doom and gloom is going to, fill the day. And, that's where I think our momentum mindset, thinking about, okay, what's next? I have a choice in all of this of how I feel about it.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Keeping your mind in that, okay, opportunities to create and deepen relationships, opportunities to read some books about personal development or whatever you want to read.
Right? We're not,
whatever.
We're not here to tell you what to read, but certainly if you're curious, there's so many beautiful personal development books out there. And if fiction is your jam, do that. Do what lights you up and what you claim you've never had time for. Well, guess what? we got it now to a certain extent. So leverage it. Get to know you. Get to know, go inward and sort of tap into that. And yes, like Jay was saying, also connect. Leverage technology to the best of your ability to FaceTime or WhatsApp or Zoom or whatever it looks like for you. Don't let your relationship suffer as a result of this. You don't have to. And definitely take the time for yourself. And that includes the relationship with yourself. I was sharing with Jay earlier, and one of the things that I wanted to, and I shared this with Don, our producer, I actually felt a little bit of anxiety when I got in here this morning. And so I did a meditation, a guided meditation, and it was so powerful. And it was really, for me already at like 10, 11 a.m., it's already the middle of the day since I've been up for so long already. But starting to really practice what I preach. I pretty much do 90% of the time, but every now and then, like, for example, I just heard my inner guidance, like, okay, just do a meditation. You have the time and the space. No one's going to think you're weird. No one's here to think you're weird. Just do it. And it really centered me and grounded me, and to take that time during the day to recenter myself. So part of what's come up for me too, Jay, and I don't know for you, is during this uncertainty and the shift in everything that's gone on, our normal has been turned upside down. Really applying the tools and the lessons that we've learned over the last 3 years, and being an earnest practitioner of them, because it's a blessing that we know of them, and so we get to use them, even if it's not.
The tools of choice and perspective.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And that doesn't mean every day you're going to have a beautiful day, but it does mean that you get to choose.
Right. And, reaching out, asking for help, connecting, choosing your experience in this. I just heard today that there's going to be like a 30-day quarantine, potentially for non-essential workers. Okay, so 30 days. Imagine that. You're home for 30 days. You're on the computer. You're doing your stuff. I mean, perfect time to start, a 10-minute exercise program.
Yeah.
The thought that you can choose your experience in all of this is really the tools that we're talking about. Because really when it comes down to all this stuff in personal development is becoming aware that you as a human being have a choice of how to interpret the circumstances of your life. And it boils down to is the glass half full or is the glass half empty? Because you either have a glass half empty mindset or a glass half full mindset. And I'll say this: I know it's because of the last 3 years that as soon as I started hearing about this, I said, this is going to be my moment. This is going to be something where I'm going to take myself to a new level, to be a stand for people, to be a voice for people in my job, to be healthier than I've ever been, to be more mindful of my health. This is my moment to become the Jay Farrow I've always wanted to become. And that there's not been the thought of, oh my God, I can't travel, I can't do this, I can't do that. I decided in a moment that this is how I was going to see everything everything going on here.
Yeah.
It doesn't change my anxiety. It doesn't necessarily change the feelings that come up, but in every moment and many times during the day when I check into that perspective. And that's the momentum mindset perspective. Is like, I'm not going to survive through this. I'm going to thrive through this.
Yes.
Because then being that person, that light that's thriving through this is where you become available to support other human beings through all this.
Right. I certainly agree with you, and I think it's important that what you mentioned to share that you decide in that moment who you're going to be throughout this, right? And it doesn't dispel anxiety, fears, things that come up, because those are all things that we get to work through. It's part of our human experience, and we get to honor that as well. And really constantly checking in with ourselves about our choice and perspective, right? So just sort of reiterating what you've been saying, I think it's important for people to hear that you can experience both things at the same time on the same topic. And that there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with feeling two ways about something sometimes, and allow all of those feelings to sort of work through you, because they're part of the experience that is growing you.
And we're going to keep the Momentum Mindset page very active during these days and thereafter.
Yeah.
For people to write into us at the Momentum Mindset Show on Facebook. Yeah. Let us know what you're going through. I mean, let us know, how we can support you. Let us know, what it is. Any questions about what we're up to, about what, if there's, I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that are thinking to themselves, okay, now what? I've seen a lot of new Facebook groups go up lately that people have embraced social distancing and embraced the concept of using social media to connect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was actually just invited to a charade party on social media tonight, which I thought was super adorable. And actually, it's my sister's birthday, so happy birthday, Laura. But Yeah, listen, people are getting creative. I think this is also, it really exemplifies um, the creativity of human beings, which is so incredible to see. The amount of humorous things that have come up on social media, all of the different memes and gifs and this, that, and the other. I actually chuckle, like I really delight in it because no matter what, and this is from people all over the world. So I don't know if people know, obviously Jay knows, but I have Brazilian family, I have Colombian family, I have friends from all over the world, and so we stay connected on the various different social platforms, and everybody is experiencing this, right? So it sort of gives us that, it's an incredible moment in history where it really is, we're live and in person experiencing a global phenomenon. It's not just in some foreign distant land. It has actually, every crevice of the earth has been, of our world as we know it, has been touched by this. And to just
so
see how people are
nobody's alone. I said nobody's alone in this.
Right. Nobody is alone in this. And it just shows our interconnectedness, and it shows our artistry. It shows our creativity. It shows all kinds of different things. And when push comes to shove, we are a community and we love our family. And even if now love in the time of COVID-19 means, because I love you, I'm going to stay away from you. Because I love you, I'm going to honor the quarantine. Because I love you, we're going to cancel this event or that event for the public interest, for our own personal health, etc. So it also draws different parameters about what is love and how different ways that we express it.
Like I said, opportunity. I mean, it's how the question is when I wake up in the morning, how am I going to face this day? What is this day going to mean to me? And how am I going to maximize this day for myself, my growth? And these questions are more powerful today than they were a week ago.
Yeah.
There's, it's a funny thing about time and what we think and how much we think we have of it. I saw Hamilton a week ago or 2 weeks ago almost, and one of the things that he says in throughout the show is that I imagine death so much it feels like a memory. When is it going to get me 7 feet ahead of me? I mean, he's got this paranoia about death, and mind you, I mean, most people in his age would be lucky to get 10 years from where he came. He was like, double that, and he was really worried about it. But at the same time, he was in the fight. He was willing to lay down his life and do the things for democracy and for freedom. Mortality or the possibility that something may happen to me or to you changes a conversation. Yeah. Because it now makes everything taste a little bit better. It makes the colors a little bit brighter. And at least for me, it gives me that fire in my ass to say, hey, you know what? I'm willing to really fully step into my life.
Yeah.
Into my relationships, into my work.
Yes. Yes. Agreed.
And I think that that's really the message that I hope to convey on this show for the next number of weeks is, you can shift that perspective at any time. And I know there's going to be a lot of stories out there of woe, and they're there and they're legitimate. And there's also some stories of some significant bravery, heroism, and who do you get to be? Who do you choose to be? Who do you choose to be in this moment to make a difference as we're going through this?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, and I would invite everybody, as Jay mentioned not too long ago, to please call in and share with us. Call in or text or get onto the Facebook page and let's start having a real conversation about what's coming up for you, what you're experiencing. Because again, Jay and I acknowledge all day long that while we choose a mindset of momentum and forward thinking, within all of that, we also experience anxiety and fear and all kinds of different things that come up. I think the distinction is always letting that go through you and then choosing from a perspective of power. Okay, that doesn't feel so great. It's not really serving me. And I acknowledge it because I'm a human being, so things are coming up. And I'm going to be in the space of what am I choosing for myself? How am I choosing to feel? What am I choosing to do? What am I allowing in my environment and things of that nature? But it's never to say that we don't have our own fears of death, or I don't so much necessarily have so much a fear of my own, but I certainly have a tremendous fear of losing my dad. And that's come up for me in the last several weeks. Even prior to this, actually, for some reasons that I don't really know, but it's been on my mind for quite a few times. So it's also an ability to discuss all of our humanity, all of the different things that come up for us. And yes, as business owners, listen, I've done nothing. I would say that 90% of my energy this week is focusing on keeping the doors open, keeping flow, thinking of ideas. And thinking of ideas, though, not only to keep the doors open for the sake of business, right, dollars flowing in, although that is extremely important because without that, we can't serve to the capacity that we're able. But really focusing on where can we really be of service to people in crisis, in rebuilding, and looking forward. This is something that's been on my heart all week long. And Jay and I have talked about it a bit, but we, as much as we function together, we have the autonomy. Like I give him the space and he has his own space and autonomy to create in the law that he needs, and I have the space and autonomy to create what I do in our business. So that is both of those things, though, are on our heart in a very big way, because we do know that the crisis will, while it's here, but it won't endure forever. And who do we get to be of maximum service to people who need it?
And that I can't say this enough about this concept of keeping my mind sharp. I don't know why I analogize this to this, but I've read about some people that spent time in solitary confinement.
Uh-huh.
And like it's like a 4x8 or 9 cell, and there's a half of a mirror up, and there's just like some kind of a mattress or a rug on the floor to sleep, and people that woke up in the morning and kept a regimented routine, and they kept their mind busy by doing things, by counting certain things or making mind puzzles and figuring things out.
Yeah.
Memorizing a book. I mean, there's things like that concept of keeping your mind sharp, because even though all of us are free to do whatever we want right now, go out, take a walk, even go for a drive, even if they shut that down, it's like with all of this new freedom, without discipline, it becomes its own prison. It's like now that there's so much time on my hands, unless I'm disciplined about it, my mind goes into the opposite of momentum mindset, which is the stuck mindset, the depressed mindset, I'll watch a 5-hour episode of Netflix mindset. And keep feeding that, and then exercising your brain with communication. If there's Facebook groups, if there's book clubs that are going to meet online, there's so much to do in this time. It's just keeping that mind sharp, and that's one of the things that we're going to keep banging the drum for over the next number of weeks. Is your mind is very powerful and can go into so many different directions, but you have control of your mind.
Absolutely.
You control it.
It absolutely does. And yes, stay connected. Stay connected. Be conscious that you're really not alone. We do have all of these platforms that we can connect, and don't be afraid to reach out to people. Don't. I think the saddest or thing is when people keep things inside and don't share, at least with one other person, or they have a lone wolf mentality. I think it's really important during these times, even though it looks different, to be connected in some way, somehow, because like Jay said, the excess amount of time can be friend or foe, and we can get lost in that very easily, right? Because it takes a tremendous amount of discipline not to.
Yeah, and if anybody wants recommendations, write into us. We can give you some laser coaching. We can provide our schedules, what we're up to, and how we're keeping our mind busy. We might even start like a book a week to discuss, so that way everybody could be on the same page and call in or write into the show. And let's all get through this together. But let's keep our minds sharp. We have control of them. We could make this the greatest days of our life. Regardless of what's going on outside, is keeping that perspective half full. And it's just awkward because I don't know, I can't see anybody, but I know it's just past 5:30. So
I know, and I have to say, like, I'm going to discuss with Jay. We're going to find a way so that we can at least be with you on screen together, albeit not in the same locations, because we're going to honor the quarantine. But even let's see, we're going to be creative, because for me, one of the things that I'll share about what is difficult for me is I need the human interaction, right? So I need to connect. I need to look at the person and connect with them. It's really awkward for me not to. And I'm willing to rise to the occasion and stretch myself to do anything it takes to get our message out there and to share with people. So, but it's a little odd to be in a room all by myself and having my partner in creation at a different location, and I can't even see him. So that's awkward. But again, listen, doing whatever it takes to make sure that we honor our commitments, that's part of who we choose to be, even when the normal has, taken a different turn.
So we will definitely do that. We'll figure out a way to both be on screen. We might even have live streaming during the week a little bit more often during this time period. One or both of us will be on just to maybe take some questions, and we're going to be that space for anybody who's got anxiety, scared, or looking to use this as an opportunity and wants some advice about what we think about what they're up to. That mastermind concept is powerful, and
it is so powerful. I agree.
Stay connected, and thanks everybody who did listen to this show, and for being with us for as long as you have. Yeah. We appreciate you.
Thank you for your patience with our technical issues and our timing issues. It's certainly not a perfect system, and we're going to work hard to make sure that we're giving you the best quality and the best content that we can. We appreciate your time very, very much. So thank you, everybody. Right. We're going to sign off. We got
have a great week.
Have a great week, everybody. We're stronger together, and keep that momentum mindset going. Reach out. Bye, everyone.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Momentum Mindset Show, where we're talking everything personal development, coaching, health, and the law. I'm your host, Jay, here with co-host Janine.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Please join us on Facebook, where we can be found at the Momentum Mindset Show. And if you want to call in and be part of the show, we would love to hear from you. It's 888-565-1470. And if being on live radio is not your thing, no problem. Send us your comments and we will interact with you on Facebook.
Let's create some momentum.